Welcome to Sculpture Studios. Now, we've got a rather special project lined up for you here today, as we're creating something for Oliver Tabor, a multi-award-winning magician from the UK, and we're going to be giving you guys what you could call a sneak peek behind the scenes. Everybody knows the joy of magic is to be thrilled, misled to believe one thing and surprised with another, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Now, make no mistake, we have a very strict client confidentiality understanding, so the only reason you'd be seeing this video in the first place is because Oliver wants you to. We're going to be creating a giant Faberge egg as part of an on-stage performance. This is an extremely bespoke, custom-built piece of sculpture, piece of art and theatre performance prop combined. This took a lot more to create than first meets the eye, but that's the whole story of magic, isn't it? Looks simple from the front, but it's practice, practice, practice behind the scenes. The project begins like any magic trick with an idea and a what if. What if someone were to get inside this egg, sitting on its base, and then disappear? We're naturally going down a really obvious route here, with the idea of accommodating a performer inside the base itself. Jess is currently assuming the place of Vicky, Oliver's onstage partner, in attempting to work out just how small you'd be able to create this base while still accommodating someone inside. Despite the fact that we here at Sculpture Studios aren't actually part of the magic circle, more like the magic semicircle, showing everyone at home just how this trick is being done would be completely shattering every bit of mystery, as well as ruining Oliver's performance. So between you and me, I think we both know this isn't actually what's going to be happening, don't we? A little misdirection for those that are going to be skipping through the video to try and locate the source of the trick, but for everyone sticking around to watch the whole thing, you're going to be benefiting a little more.
Here is the interior of the job. Here it is foiled out. So now we're going to take a cast of the interior of the job and flow coat it so it's nice and smooth and nothing can catch on it, and then we can take away the polystyrene afterwards.
All of the R&D of going through this process proved to us one thing. We knew how to take the trick one step further. You could see just how much space would be needed inside the base to accommodate someone, and how large the overall base would need to be. And we thought, well, it's going to be blatantly obvious to an audience where the person's going to be, so we thought, why not give them more than that? From those of you that stay up to date on our channel and know what we do, know that we're used to creating bespoke one-off items. So for the time being, why don't we enjoy the build process of the Faberge egg as more of a sculptural piece rather than a magic trick. Let's appreciate the craftsmanship, the amount of thought and the amount of work that needs to go into creating something like this. An idea for a magic trick in theory is one thing, but physically creating this and making it happen is something completely different. Aden is carving one half of an egg from polystyrene. The form has been hot wire cut, and Aden then carves by hand using nail and wire brushes. Once he's happy with the form, this is then sanded down to a relatively smooth finish, and we then go over with a very thin, sandable render of a water-based plaster mix.
Excellent work, Aden.
Thank you very much. Well, when you said that, I thought it was just a joke.
Terrible. Terrible.
In order to create a mould of this shape, we went over with multiple layers of a PVA glue, a gel coat of resin, backed this up with glass fibre and created a wooden frame to keep this nice and stable. Once the mould is cured, we need to remove the entire master pattern from the inside, that's the whole polystyrene form, the PVA glue and the plaster render. The reason we've only created one half of a mould for this is that the peripheral shape around the outside of the flat is perfectly symmetrical on either side. This way we can take two identical fiberglass casts from the same mould, and these will match up perfectly around the edge. The sculpture will be predominantly used inside, so we're creating the main egg form from a fire retardant Class O rated resin. Each cast is laid up with a gel coat and glass fibre, extracted from the mould and trimmed. As you saw from the images at the beginning of the video, these eggs are often elaborately decorated. We're going to be doing a little decoration of our own and surprising Oliver and Vicky when they come down to view the sculpture at the end of the project. For the inside of the first egg section, with the second being the door, we're going to be creating a sort of plush looking padding on the back wall.
Oh Jesus! What are you doing, you weirdo?
Well, you've got to creep up on people from time to time, keep them on their toes, you know. To save having this created by an upholstery company in actual leather, we're going to be creating this in glass fibre. We're creating a pattern on the inside of the form, taking a quick mould and producing a cast to fix inside.
It's a shame it's not working.
Oh. Well, there we go. Obviously the polystyrene pattern of these diamond cutouts on the inside didn't provide the right method, probably as the curvature of the egg was throwing all the lines out of sync. We'll have to go down a different route in order to achieve this look. Remember, more work than first meets the eye, but that's the whole point in these videos, so you can join us for the whole process from start to finish. Despite the time it took to create the polystyrene diamonds, insert them into the shell and then remove them again, carving this from clay will have its advantages. Once all of the diamonds have been modelled, we can create a nice smooth finish before taking a mould. Unlike the polystyrene route, this will save a lot of time on the sanding and finishing in order to achieve a smoother result. Indents can simply be pushed into the clay for all the upholstery buttons to be added later, and we go straight over the clay with a PVA sealer. This is going to have a silicone rubber layer applied over the top so the mould doesn't struggle to get into all the detail. We then back this up with a glass fibre jacket so the mould can lay on top of this to retain the correct shape. The mould and the clay is then pulled out of the eggshell, the clay needs to be removed and the rubber cleaned up, ready to create a fiberglass cast. This is laid up exactly the same as the eggshell pieces, a gel coat with a fiberglass layer, and then the fiberglass jacket and the rubber layer is removed. These large, smooth shapes are always a little awkward to position, so we might as well start beginning work on the base so that we can put everything together properly. We're going to create this nice and wide, and this way the whole sculpture is stable and not too top heavy. This is going to look as though it's made up of thick roots, and the size of the base also makes it large enough for a little bit of audience deception as well. The quilted fiberglass insert that we're currently casting is going to be stuck permanently inside the back of the back half eggshell. To make sure this is a perfect fit, we're going to be extracting this a little early from the mould whilst it's still relatively fresh. This way, rather than letting the shape relax and the resin set in its own position, we can manipulate it slightly before the fiberglass and resin has fully cured, which really should take a couple of days to go off properly. Here we've added a strap between the two edges of the fiberglass to hold this in a more curved position.
Right, here we are with the two fiberglass casts of the Faberge egg, currently pieced together so we can hold it upright. And Aiden's just going around with our PU squirty foam. What are you doing there, Aden?
What I'm trying to do is a bit of a test. I've drawn these sort of roots or the branches that come up through the Faberge egg, but I wanted to see it in 3D just to see how it looks. So it's easy to put it on with squirty foam like this, and I can see how it looks. And if it looks good, then fine, I'll trim it up. If it doesn't look not very good at all, I'll take it all off again and reapply it. But I want these legs to come up here because when somebody's inside it, I don't want it to be rocking around. But obviously all this will have metalwork in it and fiberglass, that'd be nice and strong.
It's also a nice quick way to show the clients an example of the kind of look it's going to have. Obviously this is all going to be painted and rendered to look nice and shiny by the end of it, or however the client would like. But it's a great way to give them a quick result so they can see a glimpse into the future.
Much like the quilted insert, we want to make sure that all of the fiberglass elements set and cure in the correct position. The frame on the inside of the shell that you can see here ensures that this happens, and that whenever we're working on this, it's not collapsing in on itself. We're cracking on, with both the base and the two halves of the egg simultaneously. Roots are being carved from polystyrene, and we're creating a nice strong fiberglass lip around the edge of the egg shape. This will later be cut down to only a couple of inches thick, as this wider strip's a bit overkill, and these will act as structural support frames for each half of the egg. To create an effective barrier between the foam and the resin going on top, we're using our secretly sourced sticky back tinfoil. Even more magical secrets, folks. A blanket coat of glass fibre is applied over the top, and we're bolting this to the fiberglass eggshell to make sure that nothing separates at any point. The fiberglass needs to be sanded down, a flow coat of resin applied over the top, and worked up to a good, safe to handle finish while still retaining a bit of that bark texture. We're impregnating a rope with resin around the edge of each half of the egg, and this will make the connection join line a little more forgiving when the egg is closed. A lot of construction going on at the moment because a lot of work is needed to ensure the egg both retains the correct shape and is overall stable. This is especially important considering this is going to have someone performing inside, and the fact the other half of the egg needs to swing open on a giant hinge. The whole sculpture also needs to break down for transportation, another element of the project that needs to be considered and planned in advance. This needs to be able to come apart into several pieces and be manageable for 2 or 3 people to assemble and disassemble on site. This means we need to be conscious of the weight of each piece, which is a little problematic when you're trying to create something nice and strong. Now, though it doesn't look it, but it was even a task having this bespoke hinge created. Something this large and this custom can't simply be bought off the shelf, and we need to consider 3 main elements when having this manufactured. This naturally needs to be super strong, as it's got the weight of the entire eggshell door hanging off of it, but this also makes the second point tricky as well. This super strong material needs to now be bent into a double curve to accommodate the egg shape. And last but not least, this can't even be one single unit, as this needs to break down for transportation, so this needs to have a drop pin installed so this can break apart into 2 pieces. Extensive metalwork is also being installed into the base of the sculpture, both so this is structurally sound and so that caster wheels can be installed to make this more manoeuvrable on stage. We're also adding a couple of handles onto the eggshell door so that Oliver can support the weight of the eggshell whilst it's opening and closing. So now it's finally onto the artwork, the construction's out of the way, and now it's time for the pretty stuff. Thank you very much, Jess. We're going ahead and creating something visually aesthetic to look at from an audience distance, a spectacle whether this is opened or closed. You see Faberge eggs decorated in all sorts of ways, diamonds and gold lustres, so we're collaborating a few different elements together ourselves. Gold paints for the rope running around the edge of the shells to make it look like a golden thread, a flowery scene on the open side of the eggshell, and for the green quilted section on the other side, we're adding buttons with a little extra glitter for more sparkle. The exterior of the sculpture is going to be just as decorated, a midnight blue sky with diamonds as the stars and golden roots holding up the entire sculpture. For the inside of the base, we're actually installing some LED lights. Now, if you're lucky enough to have seen Oliver Tabor's show already, or you manage to catch this in the future, you'll know exactly what this is for, but for now we're going to leave a little mystery behind this. This stand, which is fabulously being glitterized as well, is going to stand alongside the sculpture to support and rest the door on once it's been opened.
So here we are, Aden.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Finishing touches?
Well, trying
What?
started off well again. Basically, we've covered the whole lot, and I want to get it lacquered tonight, so it's got a whole night to cure. But on here I'm putting up the gold paint, which is like an antique gold, and I'm using a dry brushing technique here, just touching across the tops so it shows a bit of the brown coming through underneath. It gives it a bit of bling and sort of breaks up the whole surface quite nicely. Organic.
Organic. Very nice. On the inside, the lights have all been installed. We've painted over everything so that hopefully from a distance anyway you shouldn't be able to see anything apart from the twinkling little stars on the inside as well. In terms of artwork from the outside, very beautiful.
That's the effect we're trying to get.
Very beautiful indeed.
Magical.
Wait, did you think we were going to show you how the trick is done? Aden, I thought we were going to show them. No. Now you got to buy a ticket for that bit. Don't even bother heading down to the dislike button. That's not going to help anyone. Magic semicircle, remember? A, we can't reveal any secrets, and B, there aren't actually any secrets to be revealed. It's simply magic. Either way, it's time to invite Oliver and Vicky down to the studio to see the finished sculpture for the first time. We're showing them a breakdown of how everything assembles for when they're setting up on stage, and most importantly, the trick itself. As much as we're creating all of this for the audience's benefit, at the end of the day it's our clients that we're aiming to please, and they can then take it from there. With any magic, there's always a lot of preparation that needs to go on behind the scenes, and hopefully from this video you can see that this is no exception. And no doubt Oliver and Vicky are already working out the quickest, slickest way of performing this trick in their mind, with all the magical embellishments that go along with it. The beautiful thing about this egg is that this can literally be left sat there, right on stage, from the moment the curtain comes up, or even better, the moment the audience is entering the auditorium. This could be in front of, or with a non-existent curtain, beautiful to look at, and a tease of what's to come, saved all the way until the end finale. So, from a purely sculptural point of view, this project's taken a lot of work, perhaps more work than you and I had first imagined. A lot of planning involved in figuring out how the trick will work, how it can break down for transport, and how to actually build this, and the artwork at the end of the day is simply the icing on the cake. We've been creating sculpture now for over 30 years, and there are always learning curves when creating one-off items like this. Straightforward projects like pure polystyrene carving or production runs in glass fibre we're used to by now, and with those sorts of projects you soon get a feel for it and iron out any problems relatively quickly. Every now and then though, something special comes along, and we'd like to thank Oliver and Vicky for bringing this project to us. We'd been sent a few fantastic shots from one of Oliver's first big performances with the egg, featured in Blackpool's famous ballroom. We look forward to any future projects with you guys for your next big event, and hopefully everyone at home has enjoyed seeing the behind the scenes process of making something like this. Remember, manufacturing the egg is only one half of the process. The rest of the work lies with Oliver and Vicky to really bring this to life. We've worked our magic here, it's time to crack this baby open.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
So there we go. Please feel free to... Oh, hang on. Oliver Tabor. Hello? Yep. The trick? Yeah, they've been whining for the last 15 minutes. The fact we're not showing them how it's done. What? Show them in the video? What, right now? But we've just spent the entire video winding them up. Okay. Right, buckle your seatbelts, kids. It's time for a treat from the powers that be. So there we go, a little bit of a double whammy for this project. Whether you're into the sculpture, magic, or a bit of both, I bet you're glad you stuck around all the way to the end now. Please feel free to leave any comments below and hazard a guess at how you think the trick's done. Hit the subscribe button for our latest videos. You can like Sculpture Studios on Facebook and follow @Aden Hynes on Twitter. And for more of our work, visit sculpturestudios.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching. I mean, we've been laughing at them the whole time, but I still don't know how we did it.
Oh, nor do I.
Like, that whole setup shot in the studio for the big reveal, that's purely for show as far as I know. We were just asked to make an egg. Look what he's done. I'm actually hoping people post their theories in the comments below so that me and you stand half a chance of knowing what's going on. I don't even know what's going on here at the best of times, let alone a magic trick. I'm just doing the voiceover. Oh, my mic's on.